Welcome to this short video, Budgeting and Fundraising. This is a part of Producing a Tour, a step-by-step guide, a short video series created by Unity Theatre. Unity is an arts organisation providing space and opportunity for people to be creative, enjoy high-quality entertainment and celebrate the communities of Liverpool. We work together to inspire creative risk and achieve a fairer and more accessible world. Our ambition is to support the development of Merseyside artists and to assist them in sharing their work with the world. If you're joining us here, you might want to go back to the welcome video for more information. We're going to be talking about building a budget and raising the funds for your tour. Let's get stuck in. Building the budget for your tour can feel like an intimidating task, particularly if you haven't put one together before. This video will help to give you a bit more clarity about what to include in the budget for your tour. A useful thing to do is to think about the chronological costs, i.e. from the beginning of your project timeline right through to the end. This will help you when gathering relevant quotes for various parts of the budget. Are you beginning with a rehearsal or re-rehearsal period? How many collaborators will you need for that? Who will be going on the road? How many people do you need to be paying for? Understanding what will happen from the beginning to the end of your project as a whole will help you to get clarity on every item that you need to budget for at this stage. In the first instance, when putting your tour budget together, we recommend that you start as you would for a non-touring project. This will help you gather some of the basic information and details that will formulate the skeleton of your budget. It will give you important info like how many actors you need, what sort of rehearsal time you might need to arrange, and details around other key creatives. This basic budget sets you up to build a more tour-specific one later. It's then important to think about venues. The number and length of visits on your tour will have a huge impact on the overall budget size. What are your touring locations or venues, and how long are you visiting them for? Knowing details about your show and its touring locations will help you discover other more specific potential costs. For example, you will likely need to arrange insurance, public liability insurance and employer's liability insurance. Less common things to budget for might include PRS licensing fees for the playing of pre-recorded music. TENS licence, a temporary event notice, might be required for you performing in a non-traditional location at specific times of the day. All are worth considering at this stage. Getting a clear idea of the exact number of creatives and collaborators that you need to pay will put you in a good stead to work out of the personnel-based budget lines. As a minimum, you need to pay fees for creatives set by unions and organisations such as Equity, ITC, Writers Guild of Great Britain, Bec2, UK Theatres, SALT, the Society of London Theatres, and Stage Directors UK. These weekly rates will need to pay for the touring period itself, but also any rehearsal or re-rehearsal periods prior to the tour. Will you be putting them up in hotels, Airbnbs, local digs, and how much will all of this cost? Additionally, how will you transport people to touring venues? Will you put everyone on a train or ask them to get there themselves? Some producers will choose not to arrange accommodation, travel and food allowance, which is sometimes called subsistence or subs. Instead, we'll offer artists a per diem. This is a daily allowance given to creatives so that they can cover these expenses while travelling. It's up to you how you plan this. Sometimes it's useful to do some experimenting with your budget to see what the most economic version might be. After deciphering out all of the working costs of your tour itself, you'll need to consider any post-tour costs. How are you going to dispose of your set? You might decide that it needs to be put into storage or recycled or be transported across the country. All of these options would have an associated cost. Additionally, are there any outstanding financial settlements that you need to consider? For example, if you haven't hit your box office targets at the venue you're visiting, will you have anything to pay? Venues might charge you for certain features, such as tech or marketing support, and will more than likely charge you after your visit in this case. There are lots of methods to try and find cost savings in your budget. Some are more obvious than others, and a lot of them come with experience. One useful thing to find out is what sort of support you might be able to get from your touring venues. For example, do they have a local digs list? These lists usually offer local, trustworthy and cheap alternatives to more expensive hotels. Do they have recommendations for local technical hire companies, which will save you money on equipment that you need to source? You might be surprised about the amount of support that some venues are willing to provide for touring companies. Once you have a rounded budget, you'll be able to identify what sort of funds you need to raise in order to deliver it. Don't forget, budgets fluctuate all the time, especially when on a project. Building your budget really thoroughly is important, as it reduces the chances of you having to deal with lots of big fluctuations when you're in the middle of your project. The better prepared you are, the less bumps in the road you'll come across. Most commonly, at the scale of work that the Unity supports, a tour will have quite a small income mix of some or all of the following: Arts Council funding, corporate sponsorship, venue guarantees or box office income, your own funds, and support in kind. Arts Council funding often makes up the majority of the income needed to tour. More commonly than not, this will be raised through Arts Council England's National Lottery Project Grants programme. You can apply for funds for up to £30,000 for a small grant or up to £100,000 for a large grant. Less common, but often incredibly useful, are corporate sponsors. These will often be the sorts of organisations who can have a particular benefit by supporting your project. For example, if you're touring a show about sports and health and well-being, then a sports drink company might like the idea of supporting your show, as it stands to reason to be an advertising opportunity for them. Venue guarantees and box office income will be discussed in more detail in the next video, titled Venue Liaison, but for now are almost always included in a touring income budget. As a producer or organisation, you might have some of your own funds that you wish to put into the project, perhaps profits from a previous show. Finally, support in kind is also listed as income. For example, this might be if a venue is offering you free space, technical or marketing support. It's important to consider what your income mix will be. Anecdotally, you're more likely to have fundraising success if your income mix is diverse and you're not relying exclusively on one or two sources. Other funders will also look favourably on you if you can demonstrate a diversity of income. Once all of the income is secured and agreed upon, then you're ready to begin your tour. Budgeting and fundraising for your tour can often feel like a challenging task. There are a lot of elements to get into place before it all becomes a reality. It's important to remember that every project is different. Every idea requires a certain amount of funds to make it a reality. Your first draft of a budget will almost certainly not be the one that you end up working with on tour. Good producers are flexible thinkers, robust and thorough in their decision making, and successful tours are often a reflection of this hard work. We hope that you find this series on producing a tour helpful and informative. This series is made possible through the support of the Esme Fairbairn Foundation. Please share with your friends and let us know your thoughts online at Unity Theatre. Thank you.